Cyclone Sundays with Ben Bruns, powered by Kelderman Manufacturing. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
Welcome into the Channel Seed Studios, Cyclone Sunday, presented by Kelderman Manufacturing. I'm Aiden Wyatt, joined by Ben Bruns. Iowa State picks up a win in Cincinnati, 30-10. Before we get into things, I think I need to get your take on the unofficial chili bowl. Where do you sit with cinnamon rolls and chili?
Yeah, so I've had I was in Columbus, Ohio for more than 2 years working on a project. My team had a big hospital project there, and you know, I think Cincinnati chili is good. However, I'm a cinnamon roll guy with chili. It was on the plate when I was in high school and you know, elementary. I know it's weird. I know Hassel, he can't get his head around it. I don't care. I just think I'm not necessarily a dipper, but I like the contrast of you know, sweet and savory. And I personally like traditional chili with a cinnamon roll better than Cincinnati chili. How about you?
There you have it. I'm not a chili guy at all, so just give me a cinnamon roll and I'll be fine.
I love it.
All right, let's dive into things. What did you like?
Do you like cinnamon rolls, though?
I love cinnamon rolls. And
okay,
I'm not going to pretend that I had never heard of it, but we had never had it as a meal, like while I was in high school. And my mom was like, "Are you sure you didn't have that?" I'm like, "I would have remembered having a cinnamon roll for lunch a time or two in my day."
Yeah.
You know? All right, should we get to the serious
let's do it.
Stuff here?
Sounds good.
Young team walks into Cincinnati, and this offense looked real good yesterday. What do you think?
Yeah, I just am floored by how you know, this team continues to grow. I think, you know, let's back the bus up for a second and talk about, you know, some of the thoughts that have been out there for a couple of years. You know, there've been some disappointment in Iowa State for a period of time. And the disappointment was that, you know, doing the little things well was not something that we were doing. And, you know, this team has found a way to do all the little things well. This is the best special teams that I think we've seen in Matt Campbell's era.
Absolutely.
You know, the fake field goal yesterday, that execution, it's not just to do it, but it's to do it and execute it really flawlessly. It was wide open and you know, do it without fear. I think, you know, drawing Cincinnati offsides in a critical situation, 4th down late in the game, is another example of just discipline that translates into success. And, you know, as this offense grows up and you know, the coaching staff figures out how to tweak things to play to the strengths of the players, which they've done over the course of the last couple of weeks. The defense, you know, really fitting much better, filling space better than we had seen early in the year. Young guys like McDonough, you know, like just changing changing the game. I'm sorry, McLaughlin, changing, you know, just how they fit into space and make plays. And it's like, you know, I am beyond impressed with. And when the season started, we knew that we were going to have a football team. The question was just the defense wasn't quite what we were used to seeing, like missing some fits in the run game. Every now and again, a guy gets opened, you know, on a deep ball, which wasn't something we'd seen. And then the offense just wasn't consistent, right? And now, and particularly limited in the offensive line play. We saw physical play, right? But not fitting into run fits consistently. And so inconsistent outcomes. Right now, if Iowa State has a messed up run play, we still gain 2 yards, right? That is a huge difference from a 4-yard loss because, you know, you whiff on a pitch. And I give a lot of credit to what the staff has done in terms of both assignments and changing the scheme, but also, you know, the kids growing up and playing good football, and some changes in the lineup too.
Yeah, I think we need to credit the coaching staff as well, just in terms of the first 3 games or so. They tried to stick to the system that they had in place, and they had to take a real long look in the mirror after losing to Ohio and kind of realize what this team's strengths are.
Yeah, for sure. Iowa State was trying to do zone blocking almost exclusively, and we were really struggling to get guys to their landmarks. Right, we were struggling. If you're running to the right, you got to get your head to the right, and you got to get on that spot. And we just weren't able to hit those landmarks in order to distort the defense and create opportunity to get vertical. Here's the other thing: it is harder, in my opinion, to run zone against a 2-gap player than it is to run it against a 1-gap player, right? Zone was super effective when defenses all had a specific gap. Well, Iowa State and others have created this world where guys are 2-gapping all the time, right? Where, a defensive lineman, if you're playing a 3-man front, they have some license. You don't necessarily know what gap they're going to play in. And if the ball's going backside, they can shed and go there. And so, it used to be 10 years ago that a guy would just play heavy in a specific gap. And if you tried to reach him, he's going to widen. That's not the case as much anymore. So what Iowa State has done, they're pulling the backside guard or tackle, depending on who's covered, and blocking everybody else down. So it's a power scheme, but Iowa State, instead of pulling the guard up in to block the front side linebacker, is using the guard or tackle to block the defensive end. So taking a big guy, putting him on a big guy. And then the tight ends on the play side, along with the tackle, guard, center, are all blocking back. And so they're getting good double team angles. They don't have to worry about a guy being a 2-gap guy, because when you're blocking back, you don't have to try and solo somebody reaching, right? If he goes inside, great. That's good for me, right? Because now I just wash him down inside and away we go. If he stays outside, that's what I'm expecting. And I've got help from the outside. And we both have leverage on that block because it's much more vertical, right? You aren't trying to reach somebody. You're trying to drive them up and in. And so that action has created a much more defined running lane for the running backs. Now it makes it easier to identify for the defense where the ball is going, right? So as soon as that guard pulls, everybody knows, okay, run look this way. But Iowa State is doing this over and over and over again, including on play action pass, where you can't tell the difference, right? And so the defensive front is getting run look the entire time. And the other thing that Iowa State is doing with it is using quarterback run, whether, Rocco goes backside, right? So he peels out after he hands it off, and it's like a bootleg look. And we're throwing bootleg off of that at times as well. Or he's going play side, but he's going to the outside of the formation. So what that does is it forces that defensive end to stay wide, forces the outside linebacker to stay wide, or the alley player, right? If you're playing against a cover 4 look, that safety has to stay wide, and it really puts pressure on a lot of the defense. If number one, you can get movement at the point of attack, which Iowa State is doing now, and 2, your quarterback can be a threat to actually run it some. And I think that was a huge evolution. We were talking before the broadcast started here. You said it was super noticeable about how much Rocco kept the ball. And there were a couple of design runs in that mix too. There was a quarterback power lead where, we actually led up with the running back in the first 2 series of the game. And it was totally designed run game. Arlen Harris was the running back when we did that. But the option game, that speed option look that we're doing, plus then this mesh option off of the power, and then all the passing game that's built into that power action has really opened things up for Iowa State.
I have I want to get your thoughts on this. think Rocco Becht has graduated from the don't make mistakes kind of guy. I think now the coaching staff is all right, go make a play, big fella. Let's see what you got. And we're taking a little more chances with him now, I think.
Well, and I think, you know, when you look at the day Higgins had, right, 172 yards, that was the thing that I imagined we would have earlier in the year. And it's okay, right? It's okay that these kinds of things sometimes take time. And it's also okay that it had to be opened up by the run game starting to be effective and find our way, and then play action. And then all of a sudden double moves work, right? And, you know, think back to earlier in the season when, you know, we all felt like we were beating our head against the wall running the football. That helped position this team to where we are today. And, you know, I think it also gave Rocco time to get comfortable and grow up and, you know, just become a playmaker, right? And this team, it's clear there's a ton of mojo, right? And look what's ahead of them, right? So I pulled up the Big 12 standings this morning. Guess what?
Hey, don't look now. Don't look now. Iowa State controls their own destiny of the Big 12 title game. Just saying.
It looked eerily familiar, right, to what we were used to seeing a couple years ago. And man, what a great opportunity to be in, where Oklahoma, Iowa State, Texas, right? Okay, there we go. And you know, we've got some huge opportunities in front of us. We've got a week to get healed up and a week to work on some things and a week to scout ourselves, because I think that's super important with what Iowa State is doing right now. We've got to scout ourselves and see what our tendencies are, because in the second half of this season, with what we're doing well and what we're doing better now, teams are going to pick up on our tendencies and they are going to try and, game plan that. So this is really important. You're getting good at something. Okay, evaluate it, figure out what wrinkles you need to be able to counterpunch when somebody, slips your jab,
So how do you feel about Iowa State's bye week? You know, they're playing good football right now. Do you like getting that chance to kind of catch your breath a little bit? Or would you rather keep playing and stay hot?
Yeah, I really like it. And I obviously there's different schools of thought, but this team has a good feeling, right? They understand what they're wanting to accomplish, but there's still missed assignments places. There's still mistakes, different spots. There's still guys that are beat up and not quite as healthy as they could be. There's still an opportunity for some additional depth. With Remsburg coming back, he needs some time to work into the mix. And I'm not saying that he is going to play a lot this season, right? That's to be determined. That something that will take time to figure out. But all of a sudden now you've got more depth, really quality depth than what you had before. And, finding reps and opportunities for those guys without the pressure of a game is a big deal. I think it's important too, staffs like time like this to get out and recruit, and you want to recruit when you're hot, right? Especially with the early signing period that we have these days. So I think this is a super important time for Iowa State to have a break. And I think everybody should feel really good about this football program right now. And I think everybody should feel like we have an absolute chance to play for a Big 12 championship. And, but man, you got to just keep doing all the little things right, and that's what I love about this team. I love this football team.
Something about fall in love with the process love you back. I don't know. Something about it.
Somebody said that once. I don't know. It's good.
All right, let's flip to the defensive side of things. We were talking beforehand. These defensive backs, man. Great game yesterday.
I just think, TJ being able to step underneath that thing and pick it off early in the game, Cooper and Verdon both just being absolute animals in terms of how they hit and show up. And then, Cooper with his ball skills, it's really impressive. But the other thing that was impressive to me was as guys were subbing in, there are more guys playing good football. When Cooper goes out, we don't drop off like we did before. And that's not because there's somebody different there. It's because the guys that are there are learning the system and learning how to play and learning where to show up and learning how to run fit. And I think, I thought it was a very interesting way that the second half started, that, Cincinnati came out and just ran it. And they had a lot of success, at the beginning of the second half. And then they sort of strayed from that, right? They got into the red zone and started throwing a little bit. I think people get irritated playing Iowa's defense, right? Because it's so stubborn in not letting you have anything deep down the field. Iowa State's defense does something similar. It just defends underneath differently. And if you get behind the chains against Iowa State, you're going to be in trouble because Iowa State's not going to let you have anything deep. The middle coverage is really good. And, with that pass package that we keep bringing in with Lovett in the middle where he's spying the quarterback, we can rush the passer and contain the quarterback run. So it's no surprise that this defensive staff has figured out a way to, dramatically and continually improve this season. And, Heacock is he's so good with discipline. He's so good with, the teaching the game, right? These guys understand what the offense is trying to do. And Coach Rashid I've seen a bunch of D-line coaches. I have not seen a D-line coach that gets more out of his guys than Eli Rashid. I just haven't seen it. Those guys just keep turning up the dial. And, it's so fun.
Let's take a step back before we get out of here. I just want to talk about the entire team in general. Weeks 1, 2, and 3, we talked about this is a young team. And there's one thing that a young team can do. That's improve. And man, we have seen so much improvement just in the last 3 weeks, I feel like.
I totally agree. I mean, look what TCU went and did to BYU. Mm-hmm. Just railroaded them, right? Okie State goes and wins, right? We didn't play bad competition and just skated by, right? We played good competition and won because we kept improving. And, like these tight ends, it's like night and day difference now. And having Steve-O Klotz back helps a lot, right? Steve-O, is one of the better blockers that Iowa State has. And he's become
he's
super
out there playing like Randy Moss.
Yeah, super slippery, right? So because he's such a run-focused guy, right? He comes in, he's in motion, and then he blocks down and bangs a guy. It's like teams do not expect him to be the one who's slipping out and making plays. And, I think Bramer's just going to continue to be a better and better target. Both of the other guys had opportunities at catches too. So it's like, I admire the grit that this team has shown in the face of adversity. After that Ohio game, it was a pretty frustrating moment in time, right? And you go play Oklahoma and get beat handily, but in those games we were growing, right? We were learning about ourselves. We were figuring out what it is that we need to do differently and better. And if you stand still, you're going to be dead. And, I think the lesson of this season from my mind is that, we are in drive. And, we're not always going to go exactly the right way because we got a bunch of young guys and they're figuring it out. But there is talent on this football team. They play together. This coaching staff has innovated and adapted to their strengths, and they're having fun, and they're having fun. And I just think, this whole thing feels a ton. I said it before. It feels a ton to me like Matt's second season, where we all got to know each other in year one and got a little frustrated. And then year two was like, hey, let's go do this and let's surprise some people and let's, show everybody what Iowa State football is. But I think the thing that's different about this is the league is in a position, and we've had so much success where you never know what could come out of this thing this year. And if you don't think for a second that game against Texas, coming up, if you do, take care of your business, right? You got a shot. But it doesn't matter if you lose 2 weeks from now, right? It doesn't matter if you lose the week after that. So enjoy the games for what they are. Go get them one at a time and have some fun. I love it.
I think that's a good place to stop here. This was fun. It's a lot more fun to talk about a winning team than it is after losing to Ohio or something.
It's this. Imagine Iowa State with an offensive line that is going to just savagely beat people. I think that's where we're headed, and I really like it.
I'm with you. All right. That's all we have time for. Ben, thank you for your time as always. We now send it to our Channel Seedsman of the Week, Joe Hora. Okay, we now welcome into the Channel Seed Studios my man Joe Hora. This is Cyclone Sunday presented by Keller Manufacturing. Joe, before we get into things, I think people need to talk about you're 3-0 on Cyclone Sundays.
I know.
Were you the answer for Iowa State?
I must be. And actually, I think Iowa fans should be pretty happy too. It seems to be whenever I'm doing this, they do a good job too.
Also true. Yeah.
I just got to watch him pull off a 12-6 win, which is sure Iowa fashion.
Disgusting. Anyway, how do you feel about Iowa State's win over Cincinnati today?
Yeah, I mean, 30-10. It was nice to have a second half where we're not stressed out and you can kind of enjoy the game. And I think get through that mid-third quarter, we kind of took control of the game. And we even had some missed opportunities in the red zone for touchdowns. But I think from the start to the end, we had a good game plan going into it. And we executed. I think even Matt Campbell, on his press conference, that's what he said, that we executed what the plan was. And so really exciting to see guys like Higgins come out with, 175 yards receiving and really kind of shows you that big play opportunity. But what I like about it most is when you got a quarterback with Rocco kind of trusting his, big number one receiver, Higgins. I kind of look back at like some of the other number one receivers we've had. I think it's nice to have that confidence when we've got guys like Higgins, Noel, and Bramer now as some true weapons. So really, really enjoyable game.
So you mentioned Higgins already. Aside from him, who kind of stuck out to you today, since he's kind of the obvious answer there?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at, it was more even last game, but Zach Lovett, he doesn't play a lot on defense, but he's always that third down or second or third down spy. And he did a great job. They had a really athletic quarterback, and he doesn't have probably the eye-popping stats, but Zach, whenever he's in the game, good things are happening. And he's a transfer from Missouri. I think he's got a long opportunity to continue to play a lot of snaps, and so I give him a shout out. But you got to look at the secondary. I mean, we did a phenomenal job. TJ Tampa, he locked down their number one receiver, 0 receptions for that guy who was coming in with, I think, second in the Big 12 for receiving yards per game. So TJ Tampa, I think, is proving that he's probably a first-round draft pick. So those would be my your unknown call-outs.
There you go. Iowa State heads into their bye week next week. 3-1 in Big 12 play. I don't think anyone saw this coming, but how do you feel right now about the Cyclones?
Yeah, we're tied for second. What's what's kind of interesting watching all these other Big 12 games, and you see Oklahoma State and Kansas. I mean, very competitive. K-State, Texas Tech. I mean, again, K-State is, I think, good, but I don't know if they're quite as good as advertised. Baylor's going to be down. They've got some issues internally, and really surprising. I kind of thought they were going to be a sleeper to be, a top 3 in the Big 12 this year. So, besides Texas, right, and at least we get Texas at home, I think we'll be competitive in every single game. And I think we can be competitive with Texas. But talent level wise, I think we're going to be able to match up against every other team. And hopefully Texas, we can out scheme them and be competitive and have a opportunity to win in the fourth quarter. So, if we can get 6-7 wins for a year like this, the way we started, I'll take it. So, been a nice, the last 3 weeks been nice little turnaround.
Absolutely. Joe, thanks for your time. Hopefully we'll be here again in 2 weeks, recapping another Iowa State win. You seem to be the lucky charm. So we'll see you next time on Cyclone Sunday, presented by Kelderman Manufacturing from the Channel Seed Studios. We'll see you next time.